Hey everyone, and welcome to my kitchen. I've been promising to do this video for a while now, so I'm finally getting around to it. We're just about to head out not long from now, but I need to prep some meals for the next few days, so I'm going to get about that just now. This is a salmon recipe that is kind of modified from a thing that I saw on TV just before Christmas last year. It was Rick Stein was on, I don't know what the channels are. My wife watches all the food channels and things, I don't really watch them. But it happened to be on and I saw something, a glimmer of something, and had an idea for this. So I don't think it's exactly the same, but it's probably a similar idea. But I've been playing with the ingredients that go into it for a while now, and I guess I've come up with the thing that works for me, because I seem to have made it the same way the last couple of times. So now that I've got that, I'm going to try and go through that, but I'll also I will try and give some of the alternatives that I've gone through in the attempt to make this. But it's a really good way of getting, in my case, 4 meals for the week. The first time I did this, I did 6 meals, but I didn't find them filling enough. So I guess if you're counting your macros and things like that, then you can work it all out and find out what's exactly right for you. For the moment, for me, since we've had our child, just eating something that's a full meal and is actually quite healthy is just a bonus at the moment. So so by prepping these, as I say, it gets me 4 meals out of it, but depending on the size of the salmon that you use and how you divvy it up, you'll see what I mean as we go. So let's get started with this. The first thing I'm going to do is actually prep the last bit. So I'm going to grab, wherever they are, I'm going to grab a lemon. I've just got a pack of these. And I'm going to squeeze half a lemon into this bowl. I'm sure there are neater ways of doing this than the way that I'm doing it, but as I say, I'm not a chef, I'm not good at this stuff. So if I can do this, anybody can do it. If you want something a bit tastier, have a look at the recipes we did with Dave. If you don't have our charity calendar, then that's not going to happen. But we are going to be adding some more of those soon, some of the full ones. I know we only did teasers, but that was to try and sell a calendar for Children First Charity. Go check them out if you don't know anything about it. In the meantime, so we've got that in there. I'm going to add some parsley. You could do chopped parsley, but as I say, I'm kind of in a hurry, so I'm just going to rattle this in just now. I've got some mint. Again, you could use fresh mint, I'm sure it would be better. I'm sure that's how a chef would tell you to do it, but for the moment, I'm just trying to add some flavour. I've got some Dijon Mustard. I'm going to get a spoon, and I'm going to add about a teaspoonful and a half into that. I'll keep that spoon for a second. I'm going to add some garlic. Again, you can crush your garlic, but I've just bought some very lazy garlic. And I'm going to put a teaspoonful of that in there. And then I'm just going to mix it all up. And one last thing to add in, which I think this is more of an optional. I've not put this in every single time, but it is some capers. I'm trying to remember what spoon I used for what, but hey! Shows you just how good I am in here, but let's see. So I'm going to put a couple of teaspoonfuls of capers in there as well. Okay. So mix all that. Give that another mix up, and we'll come back to that at the end. The next thing is we're going to put it in a baking tray. Oh, actually, something I always forget, you should really have your oven on before you start and have it preheating. So I'm going to put that on just now. I'm going to stick it up to about 200, but 180, 200, and it'll end up in there for 25 minutes at the end. Okay, I'm going to keep this half a lemon because I'm going to make citrus water for myself after. In the meantime, what I'm going to do is get a baking tray, and obviously the size of the baking tray determines how much you're going to get out of this and how much you can actually fit in. So I've just found that these sort of lasagna dish style trays are perfect for me to get 4 out of. If you used a bigger one, obviously you could probably get more out of it. But bear in mind that you'll end up having to freeze a couple of these because fish won't stay in the fridge for that long. So you can probably get for 4 that you're going to, the 4 meals that I'm going to get out of it, I'll eat 1 the same day. I'll put 1 in the fridge for the next day, and I'll put the other 2 in the freezer, and I'll defrost them when I get to that. And obviously the fresh one is the one that tastes the best. So I'm going to start off just by grabbing a pack of spinach and just chuck some spinach along the bottom just to line the bottom of the tray. It's a good way of getting a mix of vegetables in because there's quite a lot in this, and you can obviously add more. In one of the early incarnations I was putting anchovies in this, but I've just stopped doing that. I didn't seem to add anything to it for my purposes, so I've just taken them back out. But what I have added in that I didn't do at the beginning was this, which is half a red onion. And again, if you watch the videos with Dave, he does this so well. Whereas I am all fingers and thumbs over this kind of thing, but I'll do my best. As long as it gets chopped and it gets in there, then we're all good. So just fairly thinly slicing. And again, I know you're supposed to have the knuckles against the thing and all that, I just feel weird with it, so there we go. Just chop up some onion and stick it in along the bottom. Simple as that. Okay, I'm going to grab some chestnut mushrooms now. Just going to get a couple of these in there as well. Then the one other thing that I put at the bottom sometimes, I don't always do this, but I'll occasionally do it, is a few sun-dried tomatoes. So I'm going to grab, probably not being the most hygienic here, but I'm going to grab a fork and stick, well, I'm going to do 4 portions, so I'm going to stick 4 sun-dried tomatoes in there. But what you find is, or what I found is that, this does actually change the flavour a little bit just by having them there. Even before you take a bite of them, it changes the flavour of the whole recipe. So there we go. Oh, actually, missed a bit, which was to add tomatoes, but it doesn't matter, it's on the bottom layer. I normally do this before I put the sun-dried tomatoes in, but basically what I'm going to do is, that's a bit stupid, but I've just made hard work for myself there, but I'm just going to thinly slice some tomatoes. Normally I would put these, as I say, before the sun-dried tomatoes, but well, I can't see it would make a difference. It's the same flavours that are in there. Maybe you'll tell me differently. Okay, that's all. Let me put off the inevitable difficult bit, which is I've got myself a piece of salmon here, and what I'm going to do with this is lay it out on the chopping board just in front of the baking tray, like so. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want to measure it up against the baking tray. So I'll get that end up against here. So I need to cut about here. You need a really sharp knife for this if you're going to leave the skin on. which I always do. Love the skin on a salmon, but I know some people have issue with that. Okay, so this is a difficult bit. This is a bit I always seem to mess up, and I may well mess it up here. If you get a nice big thick piece of salmon like this, then you might be okay, and if you've got a steady hand, then you should be okay, but just try and be careful. Very sharp knife, and you're gonna slice it along the middle, basically. You try and make a sandwich out of this, really. So let's give this a go. There we go. Okay, let's see how we've done. That's not bad. Hey. So one of my better efforts is sometimes you can see the skin poking through the bottom. I've not really done a good job of it. But in this case, what you do is you take the bottom layer, skin side down, and just plonk it in there. And there you are, you've got a nice base for your next level. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is kind of repeat a little bit what I did in the bottom level. I'm going to grab some spinach, not as much this time, I'm just going to layer it quite thinly across, just enough to cover. This is all going to shrivel up once it goes in the oven anyway, so you'll barely even notice the spinach, but hey, it's extra nutritional value, and you want your greens in there. So anybody that doesn't like your greens or spinach or anything, this is a phenomenal recipe to use because you can barely taste it. I actually really like spinach. I don't know why I'm saying that personally, but I know some people just don't like any green vegetables, so this is a good way of getting some in there. Okay, then the next thing is back to the tomatoes and keep slicing, and this time again it's the same deal. You're trying to get a sort of good base cover. Now, because again I'm trying to imagine that I'm going to cut this into 4, so I'm just going to cut these out and lay them roughly where I think the 4 slices are going to be, and that way I get an even number of tomatoes in every piece of my salmon, or every portion. Now, this next bit is kind of, in some ways, what you'll probably find is the treat bit. This doesn't comply with our dynamic cleanse and sustenance program. This would be like a little bit of an extra, but essentially this is buffalo mozzarella. I'm just going to go and drain this. Now, the thing about this, the reason it's buffalo mozzarella, it doesn't use milk, it doesn't use cow's milk. It uses it's from a water buffalo, funnily enough. But what you'll find is most mozzarellas, if you buy them in a supermarket, are not buffalo mozzarella. They are made with cow's milk. They also hold together a little bit better and they're easier to cut, but I would highly recommend that you stick with, not necessarily this one, other brands are available, but proper buffalo mozzarella. So now what I'm going to try and do is slice basically 2 slices, or roughly 2 slices for every portion again. So I'm trying to put this over the top of the tomatoes. So I'm going to take just a little bit, get that out of the way, and let's start trying to slice. We're trying to keep it together in nice slices. I've done it once with the non-buffalo mozzarella, just because on the day that I went to get it, I couldn't get the buffalo stuff, and it was actually so much easier to slice up. But we're not going for what's just easy. Well, okay, with the spices, yes we are, but we're trying to get this as healthy as we possibly can, and you know, it should help if you've got any intolerance issues with cow's milk. So, last little bits, should just about cover us. There we go. Okay. Now at this point, I'm going to grab another bit of kitchen roll. Hands are getting a bit messy. At this point, again, back to the spices, I'd stick some oregano across the cheese. Just up and down each layer. There we go. Okay, simple as that. Then, that's that layer done. I think, let me think this through. Yes, I think I've put everything on there, yeah. Invariably I end up putting on the next layer and then realise I need to peel it back off again. You could put the sun-dried tomatoes on this layer if you wanted. I've done that before as well. I don't think it really matters. And then top layer goes on. There we go. Okay. It's not completely covering it, but it doesn't matter. It'll all end up in the one place. Then what I normally do at this point is, you don't have to do this, but I think in my mind it helps, is to start scoring where the cuts are going to come. So obviously if it's going to be 4, there's going to be one roughly in the middle. There you go. And then I'm going halfway from there to the edge. And then I'm going halfway from there to the edge. Okay, so I'm not scoring all the way through, I'm not cutting it. But obviously when I do that, the next bit that I put on should seep in and sort of hold its place a little bit better. So I'm going to get a basting brush if I can find it. Yes, there we go. And the one thing about this is I'm using coconut oil here, which I have plenty. I've just got inundated with this stuff lately, but it's great stuff. But the one thing here is you want to get a lot on the brush because you don't want to have to double dip. I can't imagine it would be the nicest thing in the world to get fishy coconut oil. So just one go at it is all you get, so cover the brush. That's my top tip here. And then just baste the top of the salmon. Okay. Pretty certain Rick Stein didn't do this part because I'm sure he didn't use coconut oil. But there we go, that's that. And then the last bit before it goes in the oven is to get our original sauce. I don't know what you call this. And again, try and evenly spread it out so that you don't end up with tons of it on one side and none on the other side. And you don't get no capers on one bit. Although I am going to spread this all about in a minute anyway. In the end it won't matter, you know. The thing is as well, when you're working out, if you are working out macros for this, just work it out for the whole thing and then divide by 4. If you're going to eat all 4 portions of it anyway, it'll balance itself out in the end. So don't worry too much about it. But there we go, I'm just going to scoop that all on there. And we're losing the capers, we're losing the capers. Okay, let's get that. Good stuff. And that's it. So from there, it's just going to go in the oven for about 25 minutes and then we'll be ready to serve. Simple as that. So let's stick it in the oven. I'll come back in 25 minutes. Well, welcome back, and that's been about 25 minutes. So we're going to take this out of the oven right now. And look who's decided to join us. This is my little boy Killian and my wife Ilza. Say hi, hi, hi. When we're recording this, it's actually Easter, so we're going out straight after this. So this is me just finishing up before we go. But my God, does he look very dapper for your Easter Sunday? Yeah. Okay, so we're going to take this out of the oven and voila. Okay. So that looks pretty good to me. To serve this up, I use these little foil containers. Obviously you can put it in Tupperware or something. But what I've found with these is that it's quite good when once they've been frozen and you have to get them back out again, it's much easier to manipulate a bit of tin foil to try and get it out, especially as all the kind of the juice from the garlic and the mustard and things, it congeals a little bit, but you do want that back in there again because it does taste really good. But to try and get it back out, you have to manipulate the container a little bit, which is, as I say, it's much easier in these things. Also, it keeps it warm for the one that you're going to eat in the same day. So to get this out of here, obviously I scored it before to try and work out where the portions were going to come from. So I'm going to just slide this, I'm just using a turner for turning things in a pan, but obviously you could use a fish slice or you could use a knife or whatever. So I'm just going to slice this up into its portion sizes. Kayleen's obviously eager to go. So, and the thing that Ilza doesn't really like me doing is I use her serving spoon to serve this up. So take that out there and put one up here. Dropped tomato. Just pick that up and stick that in there along with it. And again, there's still quite a lot of stuff left at the bottom, but we'll just divvy that up between the portions. Obviously, if you're going to stick this in a bag or something and you're going to carry it about with you, don't use the foil containers or wrap them in cling film or something. I have found that I've tried to be very balanced with these when I try and carry them into the gym, but they still seem to leak, so we'll just pour on the last of that. I mean, you could put less of this sauce in there, but it does taste good. And if you can smell this, it smells amazing. So that's it. Not the neatest, but there we go. That plus we just put the lids on top, seal them up, and they're ready to go. So as I say, what I would do with these is I would put one of them into, well, I'd put one of them in just to eat. I'd put one in the fridge for the next day, and then I'd put two into the freezer and just take them out whenever they're needed. But that should do me for 4 days, and in 4 days' time I will go and make another batch. That keeps me going for at least one of my meals each day. So I hope you liked it. If you did, then please put your comments in the comment section below. If you've got any alterations that you think would make this better, then feel free to add them. Any comments on how I've made it, if there's an easier way of doing it. I'd say I'm not a chef, I'm not good at this stuff. This is probably one of the best things I've ever managed to concoct on my own. So it's pretty healthy. Buffalo mozzarella is probably the only thing that's in there that's maybe a little doubtful. But give it a go, enjoy, let me know how you got on. Until next time, bye bye.